The HOLOEYE Display SDK is a comprehensive toolset designed to simplify the development of applications for the latest HOLOEYE spatial light modulator types and versions. The SDK includes essential resources such as libraries, convenience APIs, documentation, and code samples to streamline your coding process. The SDK is essentially an interface to directly address images and data or phase arrays on a HOLOEYE spatial light modulator. It also supports various data manipulation functions, such as optical beam manipulations, like steering and focusing, data transformations, like lateral shifts for alignment and zooming in and out, and phase overlay calculated from Zernike polynomial coefficients. To get access to the HOLOEYE SLM Display SDK, please go to our software download website, customers.holoeye.com, and register your HOLOEYE SLM. The SLM serial number can be found on the type label on the bottom of the driver housing. The SDK works for all up-to-date HOLOEYE SLM devices. The current version is available for Microsoft Windows 64-bit versions Windows 10 and above. The SDK supports different programming languages such as Python version 3 and above, Octave version 8.4 or higher, MATLAB R2009B and later versions, LabVIEW 2017 and later, C or C++ compiler. For instance, Microsoft Visual C++ compiler. Once you have installed the SDK, you will find a folder named HOLOEYE Photonics at the Start menu. The folder contains a license agreement, a PDF of the SDK manual, a folder containing example files, and an HTML documentation. The documentation and code samples are vital resources included in HOLOEYE SLM Display SDK. The code samples demonstrate how easily you can use the HOLOEYE SLM in your application with the support provided by the SDK. In the HTML documentation, you will find an introduction, code examples, the changelog for the library API, and the convenience API, and even a migration guide in case you used a previous version of the SLM Display SDK. At the Getting Started menu, you will find examples of the basic functions of the SDK, such as the initialization of the SLM, built-in functions, transform functions, beam manipulation overlay functions like lens overlays or Zernike functions, and wavefront compensation overlays. At the Index tab, you find a detailed documentation for all SDK library API classes and functions, as well as for the SDK Convenience API. To start your project, we highly recommend using one of the examples we provide. You will find an overview of them in the HTML documentation at the Examples tab. To use the examples, go to the Examples folder at the Start menu. Right-click and select Open With to open it in your preferred programming environment. To use the SDK, 3 basic steps are required: the import of the SDK itself, the initialization of the SDK, and the initialization of the SLM. Of course, each code example already includes the required source code lines. The comments provided in the source code provide assistance for using the provided function calls with feasible parameters. For more information about parameters, please refer to the HTML documentation. With the examples as starting point, you can add code for other SDK functionalities or your own code as required.